Brakat Yahweh, Brakat Yahushai, Brakat Yahweh, Brakat Yahushai, Brakat Yahweh, Brakat Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bahashim, Rachak the blessings to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone True Well. Salutations to the hopefully elect out there, you Akim to Zadakim that do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity. On the pre-Shaman, this week's topic is going to be entitled, the Internet has been a den of information and disinformation. Let the Bible be the filter. And what has inspired this lesson is because as I've been doing lessons, you can see with President President-elect Donald Trump, a lot of information is coming to light. Some of it is accurate, some of it is sensationalized, but it's definitely turned up. And you know what? For brothers that were in the truth in 2016, pretty much when he first came in, and you were kind of following politics, you'd realize this is really nothing new. It's just more light being shined upon it, which the elites don't like things like that. The elites don't like the things like the internet, because the internet could give you your own perspective. You can start to formulate your own perspective on information. And most importantly, the internet is where the apostles and this truth and everything blew up, knowing that you're an Israelite, these sorts of things. But just like how you have so many Israelite groups you can't even count, and we all teach different things, a majority of Israelite groups don't have the truth, the 100% truth, and a small group does, which is apostles, the elders of Great Millstone, and those that think in like manner. It's the same thing with the information on the internet. You know, there's a bunch of different people that put certain things out, but not every single information is going to be accurate. You know, this is far different than in 2008 too, because you know, back then you had like gatekeepers in terms of like conspiracies, whether it was your Alex Jones, your Jordan Maxwell's, or your David Icke's, and they sensationalized a lot of shit, but they also brought out a lot of information. Sometimes they don't even really do any journalistic work. They just say shit, right? Like Anunnakis, and that was a thing, and Jason Todd, but now people are able to do their own journalism and decipher for themselves. So you see in the fall of like gatekeepers in terms of information, right? You got the legacy media like CNN, they're going under, right? They have to fire a lot of people because people are not going to that shit anymore for information. And this is all the work of the Lord. This is the scriptures in Daniel 12:4 says, "But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased." Right, and how has that happened? It happened with the internet, okay? It happened with the internet. A lot of us woke up to our nationality and the truth via the internet. A lot of us right now deciphering information that's being put out via the internet, you know? And then we filter it with the ultimate source, which is the scriptures, right? You always got to go back to the scriptures. Elder Manat Zakba, he did a lesson with Captain Tazaryak debating some fucking guy, I don't know. But look, I got 6 minutes in before I said I'm not going to watch the rest of this because it's a waste of my time. You know, time lost is time lost forever. And you already know the end of the outcome, right? Tazaryak is going to leave thinking what he's thinking, and then the other guy's going to leave thinking what he's thinking. Nothing's going to change. And really, with the whole thing with the debates are a scam, because the debates is, you don't want nobody to really win if you're a promoter of a debate. You know, you want the debate to be close and exciting, but you don't want no clear winner, because you need a part 2 and a part 3. You know, you got to keep the revenues going. So even in that, it's not really sincere. But they brought out, look, no scriptures was brought out. So you always got to circle back to the scriptures. This is the book of Isaiah 34:16. It says, Seek ye out the book of the Lord and read, right, the scriptures. And when it says read, it means read to understand. Proverbs 4:7, with all thy gettings, get understanding. So you have to have teachers appointed, you know? So like I said, there's many different information and different people breaking down the scriptures, billions of people, all right? But that doesn't mean everybody's right. That doesn't mean every information is correct. There's a lot of disinformation. You have paid off Israelites that are literally set up to teach a false narrative, painted as terrorists, all types of shit. So, you know, you got to pray the Most High is working with you with discerning information. It says, and read, no one of these shall fail, none shall want her mate, meaning the scriptures is not supposed to be mingled with any other book. You should always, and none of your information should conflict with the scriptures, no matter what you're discussing. None of it should conflict with the Holy Gospels, because the Most High is not the author of confusion. It says, none shall want her mate, For my mouth it had commanded, and the spirit it had gathered. Right. So, like I was saying, and now, especially with like the Elon Musk putting that platform X. X is very unique, wherein you get to see both sides. This is one of the few flat platforms, like you could be looking into some shit and you could get views that are opposed to yours. Because I remember when I was on YouTube, I had to literally watch Fox and CNN because, you know, both sides are gonna lie. You know, both sides are gonna have truth, both sides are gonna have lies. But the tactic is if they're both adverse, that means only one has the truth, one no. But sometimes both sides are sprinkling lies. You know, so as both sides were sprinkling truth. But the thing with X is, yo, you could hear both sides, so you could also see certain things that are sensationalized too, you know, like, and you can look shit up for yourself now. You could be your own journalist. It's not like, again, like back in the days. I'll say this much, right? There's a narrative. It was like in 2001. Let's say, for example, with 9/11, right? There were legitimate conspiracists, all right, as they call us, that was bringing out the truth concerning the fact that Israel and Saudi Arabia had involvement with the attacks, and it wasn't anything to do with Iran and oil. Why the fuck would the United States go to the Middle East for oil? The United States was the #1 producer of oil. They sell oil. They don't need it. They went in there to, you know, to follow PNAC, Project for a New American Century, which was said that they need a Pearl-like harbor event to get them back into the Middle East. Which again, it's all setting up prophecies between America and Israel that's going to start off this World War III. But there was legitimate people bringing it out. But guess what? It was too late. Because by the time you try to share that information as who the real culprits are behind certain conspiracies, you already got mingled up with the fucking planes being holograms and loose change and it's for oil and you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like that. Like there is true information out there, but sometimes this narrative, like everything is a hoax, everything is this, that in itself could also be used as a psyop in a way. I'm gonna read this real quick. This is the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 2 verse 11. It says, lest Satan should get advantage of us, for we're not ignorant of his devices. So the so-called white man is very subtle. That everything is a hoax, every single thing is scripted. It can also be used as a tactical smokescreen. I'll explain why. Most things are psyops, most things are set up, but not every single thing, right? Because that could also be used as a tactical smokescreen, right? I just mentioned the 9/11 situation. Most recently, like let's use the Trump assassination thing, right? There's legitimate reason to think that the FBI and the CIA would want to assassinate Donald Trump. Could come together and do it because you had was it Peter Stosnik, who had an affair with another member in the CIA. He got caught with text messages saying that we're not going to let him win after Trump fired at the time the current FBI director. Said we're not going to let him win. That information was leaked because you do have people again that are pro-nationalists. You have Edomites. It's not that hard to believe that Edomites that truly believe America is the greatest and wants the best for the president and the whole thing like that. They released their information. Now, the guy that was hard on him, Peter Stosnik, 4 or 5 years ago when this happened, was a guy named John Ratcliffe, all right? Which is another congressman. But guess what? John Ratcliffe is now the head of the CIA. You see what I'm saying? And there's a lot of people that stood up for him in the whole assassination investigation towards the incompetence of the HSA and FBI that are now in position. So this is what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, if you just do some sort of like journalistic or look up some sort of journalistic approach, like you'll see, wait a minute, these things are happening not by coincidence because such and such an XYZ event did take place, you know? But, you know, if you try to bring that out, guess what? You already got a shield. Nobody will believe it because everything was staged, right? Everything was planned. This is the book of Genesis chapter 3 verse 1. It says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. The subtle serpent is the so-called white man. You know, the so-called white man, he's not the Most High, but he does play 5D chess. Controlled opposition, controlling both sides, controlling conspiracies, controlling narratives. Man, I was scrolling through X, and I saw somebody put Larry Fink. They circled his head, I guess, because Larry Fink was saying something to Donald Trump. They circled his head, Larry Fink. It was like, see, this is a true master. He's the CEO of BlackRock. But that's it. He's just a CEO. Larry Fink ain't shit. Larry Fink can't tell fucking Putin or Xi Jinping what to do. I think the misconception is that Larry Fink, since he's managing $11 trillion on an asset, he's a trillionaire. Larry Fink is not a trillionaire. He's the CEO of BlackRock, yes. But that's AUM, that's assets under management. That's not his assets. He doesn't own that money. People could pull that money out. And when I say people, I mean names that you'll never hear of that could just collapse it too. It's no different than saying the CEO of Vanguard Group, which they just appointed a new CEO. I think his name is Samij Ramji. Yeah, well, guess what? Vanguard owns $9 trillion. So could Samij tell fucking Putin what to do? No, he's just managing assets. He's just a CEO of a group that manage assets. Now, these people could fuck with markets, yes, for sure, but they don't dictate. They can't outright dictate politics, if you will. So even shit like that, it's just like, as we approach these times, and thankfully we have the internet, it's really good to look into things. Like, you're gonna see buzzwords now. Because I remember back in the first term, they was using words like shutting down the government. That, you know, that makes a great title for people like Gerald Celente and Peter Schiff and shit like that. But shutting down the government, you have to really look at what that means, right? You have government jobs, okay? You have certain essential government jobs and certain non-essential government jobs. Trump shut down the government in 2018 and 2019, meaning, because, why did he do that? Because the fear was that he's gonna go past the debt ceiling, all right? Because the United States has a debt ceiling in terms of money they could borrow, and is he running up the trade deficit, running up the deficit? Deficit spending is not the same as debt spending, okay? Deficit spending is spending more than your revenue, okay? But that's not necessarily always a bad thing. That's like saying taking out a loan is always bad. No, I could make $100,000 in a year, take out a $200,000 loan and put it in an investment. It will appear as a deficit, but I'm not really in debt, right? Because I could always liquidate that position and pay off the debt, and I'm also getting a return on it. And another thing too is just like, when you cut taxes or government revenue, well, guess what? It's going to show up as a trade deficit, right? Doesn't mean that the intentions are to, per se, cripple the economy, all right? If it's to benefit the taxpayer, it could come across as a deficit because you're cutting taxes, you're cutting government revenue, right? And that's what happened. He cut taxes from like 35% to 21% corporate taxes. And he plans to cut more taxes, right? In his administration, it's going to come across as a narrative, as a deficit. It's going to look like, trust me, it's going to look like a nice tagline for certain people. Yeah, look, he's running up the deficit, but when you really look into shit, you're just like, wait a minute, you have to give the full story right there. You know what I'm saying? But, hey, look, the Most High put the spirit on brothers. I know I myself, man, I'm all into this shit. I'm all into the geopolitics of things, and hey, I'm gonna, you know, through the spirit, you know, say, look, you know, speaking as a man, I think such and such, based on just information, not based on per se what I want or whatever like that, just based on, okay, this is what's happening, this is what's happened, and this is me speaking as a man, and I'm always gonna fall back on the scriptures with it. But yeah, it's just so much information coming out, and I said, I told brothers, like, man, look, with this dude, you always have ammunitions for lessons, okay? But the beautiful thing is this, we could always circle back to this book of Isaiah, chapter 14, verse 24. Isaiah chapter 14, verse 24. It says, the Lord of hosts have sworn, saying, surely as I have thought, so shall it come to pass, and as I have purposed, so shall it stand. So even though we do speculate on certain things of what's really going on, ultimately we know that the main prophecies will come to pass. It's just really, the rest of the shit is really intricacies and minutia. But it's always good also to just, you know, filter the things that we're taken in by the scriptures. You know, taken in by the scriptures. Yo, man, I was, because they treating this guy, the people that he's putting in his cabinet, this shit is like an NFL draft. I'm seeing that shit on my phone. I'm seeing that shit when I'm at work. I never see no shit like that. Who the hell ever cared about who these people were putting on office until now? They treating that shit like the draft. Like everybody he picks, it's like some big shit coming out, and you have some people just saying, man, it's just crazy, man. I think he appointed Tulsi Gabbard, and the left was saying she's a Russian spy. It's just fucking hilarious, man. But yeah, no. By the way, these people that he's putting around him, they all ultimately have to get finalized by the Senate committee, right? So even though he's picking these people, it doesn't mean it's finalized. The Tucker Carlson brought out the fact that the leader of the GOP of the Senate, GOP just means Grand Old Party. It's just another name for the Republican Party. They was trying to get a leader of the House. Now the former leader of the House, Mitch McConnell, he gave Trump a hard time pushing a lot of shit, man. So the race, what Trump is trying to do is trying to get these people in there. He's trying to use something called recess appointments. A recess appointment means I could pick these people and I don't have to go through the Senate. This is like some very old constitutional stuff, because the narrative is he only has 2 years, well, till the next midterm, right, to do a lot of the shit that he wants to do with not many pushback. A lot of these Republicans, they wanted a guy named what's his name? I think it's Rick Scott. He's a senator, former governor of Florida. He was the governor before Ron DeSantis. They wanted him in because he's a MAGA guy. So that's another thing too. You have MAGA Republicans, okay, which is the Make America Great, just American First type Republicans, and then you also have traditional Republicans. You also have Zionists. They don't all agree. You have certain people that are Make America Great first things, and then you have which those people, they're anti-Israel, right? A lot of them, they don't want to go on war. They don't want to support Israel. They want to make America first, but they didn't even know that Donald Trump is a pure Zionist, man. Yes, he's a nationalist, but he's also a pure Zionist. So you can't sit in office as a president and not prioritize Israel. It's not going to happen. I don't give a fuck who you are, because you know who tried that? Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton didn't want to bomb Iran. Guess what happened? Monica Lewinsky came out. 2 weeks later, the nigga was bombing Iran. Because they have honey traps, they have intel, they have spies inside the CIA, inside the White House, they have the Mossad. They bug everything. So they'll have so much leverage on you where it's not about money, it's compromise and it's character assassination, that if you don't go along with the program, they will fuck you over. And that ties back to prophecy, because again, the least of the flock, as it's written in Jeremiah 49 chapter and the 51st chapter, shall draw them out. That's the state of Israel. That's Amalek, okay? And this is all going to take place in the Middle East. Now, for this to escalate in World War III, they both have to be backed by significant superpowers, which is accurate. Israel has to be backed by the United States. Iran has to be backed by Russia. That's not going to change. That's not going to, no matter who you think is going to save this or save, that's not going to fucking change, because that's not going to, prophecies will not be upset. So, a lot of them were like mixed about the picks. Some of them were happy about the picks. But if you thought that this guy was not going to put any Zionist and all, you're not following shit. You are not following things, man. Yeah, man, I gotta go. But no, a lot of information coming out. It's great. Ultimately, we got to filter things to the scriptures. And I'm going to try my best with the Spirit to do that when I push these lessons out. I might come back and say things change, because information always does update, you know, and information always does change. There's things I might have said 4 years ago, 5 years ago covering this topic that I'm saying differently now, because things change. You learn different information. Anyways, with that, I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashim Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone True Well. Salutations to the hopefully elect out there, you Akim to Sadakim that do this thing there in most truth and sincerity. Shalom.